Time is going way too fast. We have 2 months left in 2023, and I do not like it. But what I do like are some of the sneakers that are dropping in November. And since it is a new month, it's time to play double up, buy once, or pass. And the concept is simple. I go through the sneaker releases of November, and if I love a shoe, I'll give it a double up. If I like but don't love a shoe, I give it a buy once and pass. That's self-explanatory. Now disclaimer, I can't go through every sneaker that's releasing this month. This video would be way too long, and because release dates of sneakers changes all the time, there's shoes that are gonna come out this month that's not gonna be on this list that we don't know of yet, and there's gonna be shoes that's supposed to drop in November that's gonna get pushed out. So blame them, not me. Here we go. On November 2nd for $175, it is the Jordan 2 Off Noir Mauve. So this shoe features a nubuck upper sole with the mauve laces as well as mauve wings logo on the tongue and a vanilla sail midsole. Probably my one kind of complaint about this shoe. Now there's been some really nice Jordan 2s recently. The Jordan 2 Black Cement, love that shoe, and I really like this shoe. I think it's a very nice colorway. I like black sneakers, really like Off Noir on Jordan brand sneakers. Something about that color, black, not quite black, that really gets me. And the hints of mauve, I think it works really well. The Jordan 1 Mauve that came out pretty recently, I really did not like that shoe. I thought that was very boring. But this shoe, for whatever reason, the mauve works better. I think if I could swap those mauve laces maybe with white, it would look really good as well. But mauve on this shoe, I didn't like it on the Jordan 1s, but I like it on this one. So for this shoe, I'm gonna give it a buy once. Next up, on November 2nd for $140, it is the Air Max 1 University Gold and White, aka Steelers. Now this is a pretty standard Air Max 1. It's not premium, so it doesn't use better materials. It's just $140, and it does have the same colorway as the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it comes in a very standard Air Max 1 mesh-based layer with a gray suede mid-panel, hints of University Gold on the Nike Air branding on the tongue of the shoe, as well as a swoosh, as well as a black mudguard. And as someone that didn't grow up in the US, even when I moved to the US in 2017, I tried really hard to get into football. I tried really hard. I really wanted to kind of soak myself into that culture. I wanted to understand the sport, but I just couldn't get into it, and I still can't. There's something about them stopping like every single play that it just doesn't really vibe with me. I like sports where it's a bit more free-flowing, so mainly basketball, MMA. Those are my two main sports that I watch, and especially as someone that doesn't live in Pittsburgh, I don't have an NFL team. This colorway doesn't really get me, doesn't appeal to me much. It's just a standard MX one, so for this shoe, I'm gonna have to give it a pass. Next up, on November 3rd for $200, it is another LeBron 21 colorway, and this time it's the LeBron 21 Tahitian. So recently, the LeBron 21 Mellow Mellow colorway came out that was inspired by the very rare Dragon Pearl, and this shoe is inspired by the Tahitian Pearl. So far, for LeBron's newer signature shoe, we've seen some pretty out there colors like the Purple Rain or Violet Dust colorway, and the Mellow Mellow colorway, of course. But this one is probably the most subdued one or the most subtle one, easier to wear LeBron 21 to date. However, it still has a bit of wild side to it. So this shoe looks to have a suede upper sole with kind of glow-in-the-dark, semi-translucent green rubber outsole. I'm not quite sure if it's glow-in-the-dark. I can't seem to find images. However, it does look like it could be. Obviously, you got the LeBron signature on the tongue, as well as that Nike swoosh imprinted towards the heel of the midsole. I really like how that looks, but my favorite thing about the LeBron 21 is the booty. The iridescent, very unique aesthetic of the booty, I'm a big fan of. Look how beautiful that looks. Now, in my opinion, a lot of Nike basketball shoes look very similar nowadays, and the LeBron 21, you could say falls into the same bucket. I get it, as companies figure out what works best on the court, shoes start to just fall into and align towards those specifications, because it is about performance at the end of the day. But at least if they don't change up drastically the silhouette, at least they're doing something different with the colorways of the LeBron 21. But I will say, when I saw the LeBron 21 Mellow Mellow, originally from images, I thought I would really like that shoe. But recently I went on vacation in Taiwan, they had that shoe early. That in hand, I wasn't a big fan of. Yeah, I think images look better. It's one of those shoes where it doesn't actually look better in hand, in my opinion. So for this shoe, I'm gonna have to give it a pass. Also dropping on November 3rd for $115 is the Nike SB Dunk Low Wheat. Now this dunk actually released in 2020 originally, so they're bringing it back, and as someone that's getting older, I start to appreciate brown shoes more and more, and I really like this one. I'm not even a huge dunks guy. SB Dunks obviously are more preferred by most people, but in a vacuum, I'm not like looking out for every SB Dunk. I only really go after the very special ones. But this one, even though it's just a general release, even though it's pretty plain and standard, this brown upper sole, it gets me. So this shoe features a suede upper sole with dark mocha or chocolate on the midsole, and a semi-translucent kind of wheat gum bottom-esque outsole. Everything that I enjoy about shoes. Gum bottoms, brown, SB over non-SB. Pretty similar looking shoe in terms of colors at least. The Nike Dunk Low Clock Cork Dunk. Obviously that is not an SB Dunk, but you can see these types of shoes, they appeal to me. So for this shoe, I'm gonna have to give it a buy once. Next up on November 4th for $180, it is the Air Jordan 1 Royal Reimagined. I actually just dropped a review of the shoe, so if you want to know my detailed thoughts and my review, go check out that video. But quick summary here, this shoe is obviously a reimagining of the OG colorway, the OG Royal colorway from 1985. However, it swaps out the leather and it brings in suede and nubuck, and I think it works. I know some people, some purists, don't like the fact that they changed out the materials. I don't have a huge problem with it. But again, if you want to know my detailed thoughts about that shoe, go check out my review. But in conclusion, I'm going to give this shoe a buy once. Next up, on November 8th for $115 is the Nike Dunk Low Red Stardust, which is a woman's exclusive. Now this shoe is a pretty standard Nike Dunk. It features a white base leather layer, probably in very cheap synthetic leather, with orangey and red Stardust overlays. I think it's a pretty clean colorway, it's pretty simple. And this colorway, actually, it is going to be on an Air Max 1 later in November. So look out for that if you prefer an Air Max 1. But there's nothing that really stands out about this dunk in particular. I'm not a huge dunks guy, like I mentioned before. So for this shoe, I think the colors are clean, but it's not special enough for me to want to get. So for this shoe, I'm going to give it a pass. Next up, on November 9th for $185 is the Air Max 97 Corduroy. The Air Max 97, obviously inspired by the Japanese bullet train. It does have a very loyal following, a lot of 97 fans. And this shoe is a very colorful 97. So you'll see corduroy material in a bunch of different colors on the upper sole. There's also tan leather in between the corduroy. The mudguard seems to be this teal, aqua kind of nubuck. And you'll also see maroon overlays on the tongue. And of course the visible air unit. Now corduroy in a vacuum, it's not my favorite material to put on sneakers, and the Air Max 97, call me crazy, but I'm not a huge fan of it either. The Air Max 1 is my favorite Air Max. The Air Max 1 and 90 are probably the only Air Maxes that I really go after. So for this shoe, it's a bit too colorful for my liking. It's also an Air Max 97 that I don't really love, so I'm gonna give it a pass. Next up on November 10th for $210 is the Air Jordan 5 Midnight Navy. Now I actually do have these shoes in hand. I'm going to review it very soon. It's going to come out very soon, but here's a quick summary. This shoe is essentially a sequel of the Jordan 5 Craft that came out in May 2023 this year. And this shoe is pretty much the same construction, same materials. It just swaps out that kind of tan color for this color, the Midnight Navy. Now I know some people are referring to it as the reverse Georgetown Jordan 5. Honestly, when I first saw the shoe, I didn't really see that. I didn't even think of Georgetown until I saw it online. So I'm gonna still call it Midnight Navy. And the upper sole features a canvas textile base layer with this hairy, dry suede, which if you know me, I don't really love that type of suede, but it does have a beautiful icy outsole with hints of black on the tongue, the booty, the eyelets, the lace lock. I think the colors, despite me not loving the materials, I think they're beautiful. I really like how this shoe looks in a vacuum. I do wish it came in different materials. I do wish it's not part of that Craft series, but it is what it is. And honestly, it's very hard for me to pass up on Jordan 5s. It's my favorite Jordan silhouette, so for this shoe, I'm gonna give it a buy once. Next up, on November 11th for $225 is the Jordan 11 Neapolitan Women's Exclusive. Now this shoe is kind of like the sister to the Jordan 11 Gratitude that is coming out in December. Can't remember what date, but these two shoes are very similar. This one is inspired by the Neapolitan ice cream. So you see on the upper sole, unlike traditional Jordan 11s, it swaps out that mesh base layer for leather, which honestly, I don't really mind. Purists are gonna hate it, but I don't really mind when they try and switch things up as long as it looks good. And then on the mudguard, a very distinct feature of the Jordan 11 is that patent leather, the patent glossy leather. It looks like black in images, but I believe it is like dark brown, similar to the Neapolitan ice cream. And then moving down to the outsole, it's that pink rubber outsole. Of course, being a Jordan 11, it has a carbon fiber shank plate, one of my favorite. Of course, they stuck a sail midsole on the shoe. It actually kind of fits because it is Neapolitan. And Jordan 11's obviously one of the more popular Jordans. I think this one is not as good as the Gratitude, but I think it still looks pretty nice. It's a little bit more playful, a little bit more colorful. I do hope to have a review of the shoe coming up very shortly. Overall, I think people are pretty divided on whether or not they like the shoe. For me, I like it. I'm gonna give it a buy once. Also dropping on November 11th is the Type Booth Nike SB Dunk Low. Now Type Booth is a Japanese brand, so it is a collaboration, and this shoe is a pretty wearable Nike SB Dunk. It comes with very standard colors, so it features a black suede base layer with white leather embossed patterned overlays. I think that looks like scratches. And the black swoosh, maybe it comes in 3M material because there are images of it being reflective, and you'll see Type Booth branding right under the swoosh. And it also has branded insoles as well as a branded tongue. I think this is a very clean shoe, super wearable. I do like the embossed patterns on the overlays. It's not corny, it's not gimmicky, it's very simple patterns. So for this shoe, I was tossing up between giving it a buy once or a double up, but I don't think I like it enough to be a double up, so I'm gonna give it a buy once. Also dropping on November 11th for $150, it is the Adidas Crazy One Black. Now before Kobe Bryant was synonymous with Nike, he did wear Adidas shoes. Probably the most famous one was the Adidas The Kobe. That was the shoe that he wore in 2000. Now they rebranded it to be the Adidas Crazy One. 23 years later, it's still one of the most unique and wild and crazy looking basketball shoes. So this Crazy One is a black on black shoe. It has a molded synthetic leather upper sole with the Adidas torsion system with an EVA foam midsole, herringbone traction. Now I've never played in the Crazy One. I did own the Lakers colorway, but I just found it very hard to wear. I don't play ball as much anymore. My knees are gone. So I didn't know even when to wear that shoe, so I did end up selling it. But I do like how this shoe exists. I feel like a lot of basketball shoes just start to look very similar now. So the fact that this shoe has been retroed, it's on the market now, I do like it. Throws things off a little bit. But personally, I just don't know where I would wear the shoe. So even though I appreciate them bringing it back, I'm gonna have to give it a pass. Now speaking of Adidas and Kobe Bryant, next up on November 11th for $160 is the Adidas Crazy Infinity White and Silver. Now during the most recent NBA All-Star Weekend, Adidas did reveal this shoe finally, and it still keeps that Adidas craziness in terms of the silhouette, in terms of how it looks. You see a zip-up shroud that covers the laces. That is actually inspired by the Kobe 3 that he wore, but we never saw it in public because they ended up moving to Nike. And it's got that synthetic upper sole, that very spaceship looking like shoe. And it's got the D-Boss 3 stripes, herringbone traction that I believe has been updated. And again, just like the Crazy One, this is still one of the most unique shoes in 2023. I like the fact that it exists. I like the fact that it's in the market. And even though I gave the Crazy One a pass, I do want to see the Crazy Infinity for myself, but not this colorway. There's another Crazy Infinity coming later on in this video that I prefer over this one. So because I know that exists, because I know it's releasing in the same month, I'm going to give this colorway, this shoe, a pass. Next up, dropping on November 13th, is the April Skateboards Nike SB Dunk Low. Now this is a collaboration between April Skateboards and Nike. This shoe features a white mesh based layer in the mid panel as well as the ankle collar with turbo green suede overlays. It's got that washed aesthetic that I personally really like. And on the toe box it uses leather. And the swoosh, it comes in this kind of chrome aesthetic with April branding on the heel as well as the booty of the shoe. The tongue is also branded, and then a beautiful translucent outsole with a rose graphic and that teal Nike SB cutout in the middle. Love it. I'm gonna get my hands on a pair of these. I'm hoping to review it soon, so look out for that. But just from images, without even looking at it in hand, I think this is a winner. I'm not too sure about the mesh mid panel. I do kind of wish they stuck with all leather for the base layer, but I'll see it in person. Maybe I'll change my mind. But right now, I still really like this shoe. I'm gonna give it a buy once. Also dropping on November 13th for $180 is the Air Max Penny 1 Stadium Green. Now Penny Hardaway originally wore the Air Max Penny 1 in the 1996 All-Star Game. This Stadium Green, it is a new colorway on this shoe, and honestly there's pretty much no hype behind Penny Hardaway's Nike shoes anymore. Even the foam posits that he was synonymous with, the hype behind those have really died down, which I'm very glad. People who want shoes should be able to get them easily. So if you're a fan of the Air Max Penny 1s, look out for these. So this shoe looks to have a nubuck upper sole in that green color, a very green color if I must say so myself, with jewel gold swooshes on the side of the shoe as well as the bottom of the eye stays. And there's a Zoom Air in the forefoot as well as an Air Max unit on the heel that is obviously visible. And of course Penny's 1 cent logo on the booty and gold and blue. Now what kind of throws me off about this shoe, apart from the super green upper sole, is that blue on the outsole. It kind of just really stands out. I didn't really expect that blue on this shoe, so when I saw images I was like, interesting color choice, but I'm not a designer, I'm an idiot, so maybe that appeals to a lot of people. Personally, the Stadium Green colorway is not for me. I don't love the Air Max Penny 1s. I do prefer Penny 2s over this shoe, so for all those reasons, I'm going to give this shoe a pass. But I will say, the 1 cent logo, Penny's logo, still one of the best athlete logos ever. Underappreciated. Next up, on November 15th for $200, probably the shoe that I'm looking forward to most on this list is the Air Jordan 3 Off Noir, which is a woman's exclusive. Now this shoe was originally going to release in December, got pushed up, and I'm very, very excited. This is one of my most anticipated shoes going into holiday season, and this Oreo colorway, this Off Noir and black and white colorway, it's just one of my favorites. I love it. Like the Jordan 5 Oreos, I have those. Love that colorway, so wearable. I like black sneakers, probably more than a lot of people. So this one ticks all the boxes. So this shoe looks to have a suede nubuck upper sole with a sail midsole. Again, I'm going to complain about that sail midsole because if it was white, just like the Jordan 5 Oreos, would have been perfect. Super simple, super clean on a beautiful Jordan 3. It is the 35th year anniversary of the Jordan 3. And I'm very glad this shoe is releasing earlier than anticipated. So if you couldn't tell by now, I'm going to give this shoe a double up. Next up on November 16th for $250, a whopping $250, it is the LeBron 2 Beast. Now this was a player exclusive for the LeBron 2 in 2014 and never released to the general public. But now, if you're into this aesthetic, you have a chance, I guess. It's a very, very wild shoe. Honestly, I don't even know where to begin. So this shoe features cheetah and zebra prints with some hints of red. So you see on the swoosh, on the strap, as well as LeBron's logo and signature. There's also hints of gold, like on the swooshes on the ice days, as well as the booty of the shoe, and it looks to have a special branded box. There's just a lot going on in the shoe. It's way too wild for me. I could never pull this shoe off. But I will say, the LeBron 2s, I personally think are one of my favorites in terms of LeBron signature shoes. The LeBron 2s, 3s, 4s, it's probably just nostalgia, but I thought those ones are his best looking ones. So even though this colorway is way too crazy for me, I do like the LeBron 2s, and I do really appreciate they bring a player exclusive to the market, similar to how they brought the Court Purple player exclusive to the public in 2023 as well. So if you like this shoe when you saw it in 2014, here's your chance. For me, I can't pull it off. I'm gonna give this shoe a pass. Also dropping on November 18th for $210, it is the Air Jordan 4 Olive Craft, another shoe in the Craft series. Earlier, was it last year or this year? I can't remember. Very close anyway. The Jordan 4 Craft came out. That was a pretty nice shoe. It featured that kind of deconstructed look, and this is basically a sequel to that shoe. So it features a mix of materials, nubuck, suede, maybe a bit of leather in there, and it replaces the usual netting that you see on the side of the Jordan 4 with just suede, just like the Jordan 4 Crafts earlier. Looks to have an off-white or sail midsole as well. And this shoe also looks kind of similar to the Jordan 4 Travis Scott samples. Don't know if that was an inspiration. Now, two things that I don't really like about this shoe. I didn't like the yellowish kind of vanilla color on the Jumpman on the tongue, as well as the booty of the shoe for the Jordan 4 Crafts earlier. And they stuck it on the shoe. I don't like it. It really does remind me of P. I don't know why. I know that color has been used on other Jordan brand shoes, but for some reason, for these shoes specifically, I just think it sticks out like a sore thumb. Don't love it. The second reason is this green. Kind of reminds me of grass, but I do kind of like it. It's weird. Like, if I'm looking at it for too long, I'm like, it kind of looks like golf grass. What's the term for that? AstroTurf? Whatever it is. It kind of reminds me of that, but I also kind of like it. That olive kind of color. That's my favorite shade of green, so don't know if that's a dislike or like. Can't make up my mind. So overall, there's a few things I don't love about this shoe, but it's still a Jordan 4, so it's really hard to pass on. It's very hard to make a bad looking Jordan 4. This shoe, I'm going to give it a buy once. Also dropping on November 18th for $175, another Jordan 2 is the Jordan 2 Origins. Now this shoe has the colors of the Italian flag on it, and the reason why it's called Origins is originally back in 1987, when the Jordan 2 was first released, that shoe was actually made in Italy. It went for a more premium aesthetic, a premium materials, premium construction. So it's taking the Jordan 2s back to its roots, back to its origin, and sticking the Italy colors on the shoe. Fun fact, when the Jordan 2 released, it was $100, whereas the Jordan 1 was $65. So a $35 increase, which at the time was a lot. So they really did try to market that shoe as a very upscale sneaker. So this shoe features a white leather upper sole with red piping, as well as red on the tongue, on the Wings logo, as well as the ankle collar. And then of course, green on the heel tab. My favorite part about the Jordan 2 is that heel tab. And of course, they couldn't help themselves. They use sail in the midsole and heel. I don't believe there's sail on the Italian flag, but They want to break some rules just to get that sale in there. Now, I think this is a very clean shoe, but I don't love it. If you're Italian, I think this is a special one for you. But just in terms of the colorway itself, compared to some Jordan 2s that's released, the Jordan 2 Black Cement, the Off Noir Mauve that's coming, I think it pales in comparison. So for this shoe, I'm giving it a pass. Next up, on November 21 for $200, it is the Air Jordan 13 Wheat. Now, this is a colorway that originally came out in 2004, so it's the first time that it's come back after 20 years, which is crazy. 2004 doesn't seem like that long ago in my mind, but it's been 2 decades, or nearly 2 decades. And this is a super simple and standard Jordan 13, just a white leather upper sole with wheat colored suede on the mudguard, as well as the ankle collar and midsole. I may or may not review the shoe, maybe not, I'm undecided, but generally I do like Jordan 13s simply because of the comfort. It's a very comfortable shoe, it's pretty light, it does use a Phylon midsole, it also has carbon fiber, all weight saving measures, and it just fits my wide feet very well. But in terms of the colorway, it just doesn't really excite me. It's just white and wheat, not really my thing. I think if they went with like white and brown, it's probably more my thing, but that wheat color, a little too light for me. So for this shoe, I'm giving it a pass. Next up, on November 23rd for $160, it is the Air Max 1 Red Stardust. So I mentioned the Nike Dunk Low Red Stardust earlier on this list. This is the same thing, but just an Air Max 1. Changes up how they arrange the colors a little bit. So this shoe features a mesh-based layer with suede overlays and red stardust and cedar colors with a coconut milk or sail midsole. Whatever it is, it's not white. I don't like it. Unlike the Nike Dunks that uses a white midsole that I do prefer. But the Air Max 1 is my favorite Air Max. I think it's a very comfortable shoe as well, especially considering its age. I think this colorway is pretty clean, pretty simple, pretty easy to wear. But there's another Air Max 1 releasing on the same day, a very standard Air Max 1 that I prefer over this one. So for this one, I'm gonna give it a pass. That leads me to the Air Max 1 University Blue, also dropping on November 23rd for $140. This color is my favorite color on sneakers. The Air Max 1 is my favorite Air Max. What can go wrong? This is a very standard Air Max 1, but has the ingredients for me. A mesh-based layer with gray mid-panels and suede with that University Blue mudguard. It's so beautiful, it looks so nice, so gorgeous. And there's not really much else to say. This Air Max 1 is for me. I'm gonna give this shoe a buy once. Next up, dropping on November 22nd, are a pair of absolute heavy hitters that I'm very excited for. Are 2 Jordan 5s, my favorite Jordans. It's the A Ma Maniére Jordan 5 Black and the A Ma Maniére Jordan 5 Photon Dust. Now, A Ma Maniére just don't miss. They really don't. That burgundy is like a cheat code. You slap that burgundy on, have some A Ma Maniére branding, and it's like a hit. Now, these 2 shoes are pretty much the same in terms of like the details, in terms of the branding, but they just switch up the colors. So for the black pair, comes in a black nubuck upper sole. The collar is slimmed down. I do like that. The netting is pre-aged, and if you look closely, the pattern of the netting actually is the A Ma Maniére logo, that A. Very cool. There's also A Ma Maniére branding on the tongue, also on the outsole. It also gets the Nike Air booty treatment, even though it's not an OG colorway, it still gets a Nike Air because that's just how A Ma Maniére rolls. They get to call the shots, and it also gets the 23 on the side of the shoe. Not all Jordan 5s have that. And the Photon Dust colorway, I won't go over all the kind of branding specials again, but it essentially is the same, but just different colorway. It looks to have a pale grayish upper sole with blue shark teeth instead of burgundy. So on this shoe, you don't see burgundy at all, but that blue, still super nice, super nice. There's something about that blue shark teeth that just looks perfect. Love it. Out of these 2 colorways, I love them both. I think most people do prefer that Photon Dust. I can't really choose, I can't make up my mind. I absolutely love both these shoes. If I had to choose, probably will go with the Photon Dust, but can't go wrong with any. So, if I haven't given it away, for both these shoes, double up. Next up, on November 24th for $160 is the Adidas Crazy Infinity Stormtrooper. Now I mentioned this earlier when I talked about the Crazy Infinity white and silver colorway. So it's the same shoe, but different colorway. This takes out the silver, it's just white and black, hence the Stormtrooper name. So again, the zip that covers the laces, that is taken from the Adidas Kobe 3, herringbone traction, the very funky molded upper sole. I think this is probably the best colorway of the shoe. Very funky. I can't say I love the silhouette, but I do like that it's out there. I like that it exists. I like that it shakes things up in terms of how weird it looks. And I want one in hand just to see how it looks. So I passed on the black and white and silver Crazy Infinity for this reason. I knew this shoe was coming. I like this colorway better. For this shoe, I'm gonna give it a buy once. And next Next up, on November 25th for $210, it is the Air Jordan 3 Fair. Now I actually just recorded a review of the shoe, so it's fresh in my mind. But here's a quick summary. The Jordan 3 Fair first originally came out in 2013, was part of the Fair pack, with the Jordan 3, 4, and 5 as part of the pack. What a crazy pack that was. And that was inspired by the 2008 Become Legendary campaign. 2008 was when the Jordan 23 came out, so they went hard. And there was one ad in particular, the Look Into My Eyes ad. That was the inspiration for that pack. And there was one quote that Michael Jordan said as part of that ad, and he said, "I'm scared of what I won't become. You're scared of what I could become." One of the most ice cold, craziest quotes ever, especially when Michael Jordan says it. So this is essentially a re-release of that shoe. Features a nubuck upper sole with hints of orange. Actually a very good Halloween colorway. However, it doesn't have the very cool insoles from 2013 with the quote on it. It just has very generic Jumpman insoles. Don't know what they were thinking. I do not know what they were thinking. But I do know a lot of people were waiting for this shoe to come back. I think it's a nice shoe. Again, I have a review of the shoe coming up very shortly, so look out for that. But overall, it's a nice shoe. Here's a sneak preview. I like it. I'm gonna give this shoe a buy once. Next up, on November 27th for $210, it is the Air Jordan 8 Winterized Gunsmoke. Now, as someone that lives in Boston, I do appreciate Jordan Brand's efforts to give us more shoes that can withstand the elements of like rain or even snow. So I do appreciate this shoe coming out now. So it features a majority black upper sole with a chenille Jumpman on the tongue, standard for a Jordan 8, and it's built for the winter. So it does have a water resistant upper sole. It has the synthetic X straps, and the strap on the ankle, around the ankle, does seem to be reflective. And that midsole is just beautiful. Look at that metallic silver. I love how that looks. It's beautiful. Yeah, apart from the practicality and functionality of the shoe, I really appreciate the colorway. The more shoes I review, the more I realize that I'm just a big fan of black-based sneakers. Just is what it is. Obviously, we've seen one Jordan 8 come back this year, the Jordan 8 Playoffs. That was a great shoe. And this is another Jordan 8. We don't see Jordan 8s coming back very often. I can't say I'm like a huge Jordan 8 guy, but this colorway and the practicality and functionality of it, I'm a fan of. So for this shoe, I'm giving it a buy once. Finally, on November 29th, to round out this list, for a whopping $250, it is the Air Jordan 6 women's exclusive Gore-Tex Brown Cow. Jordan Brand is really getting ready for the winter. Again, I appreciate the functionality and the practicality of this shoe, just like the Jordan 8 Gunsmoke. This shoe uses a brown tannish kind of color on the upper sole with obviously Gore-Tex material, so it is water resistant. It is meant to withstand rain. There's also some hints of purple, which looks pretty nice. Gore-Tex branding on the heel, just in case you forgot that this shoe was Gore-Tex. A kind of semi-translucent gum sole. And overall, I'm not a huge Jordan 6 guy. From a bird's eye view for my wide feet, the Jordan 6 just doesn't look that appealing. But this shoe, I appreciate the functionality of it, especially as someone living in Boston in the Northeast, where it's about to be winter. It's not pleasant. I do appreciate this shoe coming at this time. And this color, even though it's kind of odd, it's kind of weird, it's not the traditional colors that you might be expecting, I don't mind it too much. I don't mind it too much. So for this shoe, I'm gonna give it a buy once. So that's it. Thanks for watching Sole Inclined. Let me know what shoes you would double up on, what shoes are trash for the month of November. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.